This is my 2022 Subaru Ascent that we bought less than 2 years ago with 6 miles on it. It now has 63,000 miles on it. That's a lot of miles. Now in the 60,000 miles we've driven this car, we really haven't had any problems with it. We had a small minor problem when we first got the car where this window, if it was down and we went to roll it up, then it would hit the top and then it would come back down about halfway, quarter of the way down, and it would just stop and we'd have to roll it back up again. And went into the dealership and they said that I just needed some grease on the window itself. So they put a little grease on the window because it was getting stuck, and then we haven't had any problems with it since. So easy fix. The other one that we had probably started, I think, about 10,000 miles ago. We started getting a leak underneath the car and took that in a couple weeks ago. The seal for the oil pan was just leaking. They just needed to put a new seal in there and fixed it right up, no big deal. So that one was covered under warranty. Another minor issue that we had with this was the USB ports. For some reason, for a while, the USB ports sometimes just would stop working. So we'd plug our phones into them and to charge up and use Apple CarPlay, and they just wouldn't hook up no matter what we did. We turn the car off, turn it back on again, disconnect everything, turn the phones off, everything. And for some reason, they just would not connect until, you know, we stopped, and we were stopped for however long, maybe hours a day, I don't even know, and they'd start working again. No explanation for that because we didn't go in and get it fixed. We haven't asked them about it. It just hasn't been a problem since then. But that was early on. The car had 10 to 15, 20,000 miles on it, and we really haven't had that experience for a long time. The last problem that we had was also pretty minor. Shortly after buying the car, my 6-year-old daughter at the time decided to put her feet up on the armrest, and she must have put her foot down pretty hard because she put it down right on the window on the down switch, and after that it was floppy. So this would just wobble back and forth. It worked, it would go up, it would go down, but this would wobble. So we took that in to get it fixed, but wasn't covered under warranty. But that was $233 and they fixed that. The cup holders in here are a bit of a problem, front and back. We had to get these really small thermoflask to get in here. If you want to put a regular size one in here, it's a no-go. That will not fit. So we discovered very quickly that we needed an alternative. So these small ones work really, really well, and they slide right in there perfectly into all these holes. Not all these holes. I don't know what this is about. I do not know what that third slot is for. It does not hold water bottles, but that works great. And these you can use in the middle, but you cannot use these in the door. Now in the back seat, you can use these big ones on this slot. It doesn't go all the way down unless you push it, but then you start scratching the door. So we didn't like that either. So again, these small ones fit beautifully in there. And then you've got these cup holders in the middle seat. Seems nice. You can put your water bottle in there. But no, they are not designed for a normal water bottle. That's all you can fit in there. Yes, poor design. And since we can only use small water bottles in the back, it's a good thing we have 3 slots. Lots of space for water. For some reason, on this side, you only have 2. Now, one other flaw of this car is when you're sitting in the back seat, you can't hear the music. There are no speakers back here, and easily could have made that change. You have speakers in the front and you have speakers on the rear passenger doors, but in the very back there aren't any. So when you're driving and you turn on the radio, your kids in the back seat are going to be asking you to turn it up. And I've tested it, and it's not just 7-year-olds, 9-year-olds, it's adults as well. You can't hear the music back here. But then if you turn the music up in the front so that people in the back can hear, then it's too loud for the people in the front. So that can get a little bit frustrating, but that's an oversight that has an easy fix that really shouldn't have been missed by Subaru. Now I'm 5'9", and getting into the back seat of the car is pretty easy. No problem there, but we pull this seat back and I'm touching. I have no room here. Feet are okay. but I'm right up against the back of this seat. So there is a solution. One nice thing about this car is we can move the seats forward. So let's see how that does. You can see there's plenty of space here, so we can move this forward. You can see now that made a huge difference. We moved forward a good 4 inches from what the seat was before to what it is now. That's a good amount of leg room. So no problem, I can put my feet under the seat without any problem. And I've got a lot more space. This is actually pretty nice for an adult to be able to sit in the back. So a good design here. So if anybody's watched a few of my videos, you know that I'm a big Mazda guy. Love Mazda. So why am I driving a Subaru? Well, the main reason for that is because in September of 2022, we were looking for an 8-passenger vehicle, and the Mazda CX-90 wasn't even announced until January of 2023, and it wasn't available until spring of 2023. So, didn't even know that one would exist. We didn't want a big SUV, we were looking for a crossover. And in that market, it was pretty much the Hyundai Palisade and the Kia Telluride. The thing that really sold me on the Subaru was the sporty feel that it had over the Kia and the Hyundai. It just felt more fun to drive. I enjoyed the experience a lot more. There were a couple of things that Kia had and Hyundai had that the Subaru didn't. One was it had speakers in the back, so you could talk to your kids while you're driving and they could hear you in the back. The Palisade was more expensive and I couldn't justify the extra price for what I was getting for it. The biggest thing that sold us on this Subaru Ascent though, over the sporty drive, was the optional built-in trailer hitch. The Kia and the Hyundai didn't have that. And even now, the CX-90 doesn't have that. So if you want to hook up a trailer hitch, you've got to get an aftermarket one, but it's going up underneath the bumper. To me, that extra 8 or 9 inches, whatever that is, was enough difference that I wanted that built-in trailer hitch. Having a trailer hitch that was really low to the ground was a put-off to me. Hitting bumps, going over a rock in the middle of a trail or wherever you're driving, and hitting that bottom and dragging against it wasn't appealing to me. So this trailer hitch didn't come with the car. We added it in later after we bought it. We did that as an upgrade, and we're so glad that we did. It's a lot cleaner look. There's a cover that goes right over this, and it just looks like a regular bumper, like there's not a trailer hitch there. And I don't have to worry about the hitch or the tongue of a trailer or this bike rack bottoming out. Now, one thing I don't like about this is the cover. The cover is not the easiest to get off. It seems like they could have made this a little bit easier, but it's not terrible. It's just not the easiest. I'll show you how this comes off. You have to come up underneath the car, and you'll see right here, you've got a little nut here, and you've got a nut here. And these have to be turned counterclockwise, and then it pops out like this. Counterclockwise, and it pops out. This, you have to get it separated from that. And then we come over here and do the same thing here, and I'll show you what's holding it. You just separate that off. You've got these little grooves, these little notches here that will go right into these holes up on top. Now this, so very simple right here, but underneath you have these little brackets right here that will come off, and this little bracket is not the greatest. It sometimes slips out of place when you're trying to put the little screw in there, and it won't align properly the way it should. And I always have the worry that this is going to fall right out, and sometimes it does. But if it comes off, it's pretty easy to slide right back onto here. And then there you go. It's all built in right there. Very nice system. Everything's here that you need. So I love that, because look how much higher that is. So tow hitch would be way down here. So that makes a huge difference when you've got a lot of weight on the back of that thing, especially with all the bikes that we carry on it. So put this back on, very simple. Just slides right in there. You pop that in underneath. And then, of course, the tricky part is just lining up these little pieces here so that they go into these holes. And sometimes we have to do this when it's dark outside, and so it's not easy to find. This looks real simple, but at night this is a pain in the neck. So all in all, I love this setup. It's really nice. I love that it's hidden. It's a great look. You just have a little bit of hassle with having to take it off and put it back on. Not the easiest, but I'll take that over having to have it way down here any day. The car is equipped with plenty of storage spaces. This down here, an easy place for your phone. I've been in some cars where you're just trying to figure out where you're going to put your phone, and there just isn't a good place. And this has right in the center, great spot. 2 phones can fit there. My wife usually puts hers up here, which is a good spot. You can put other things in there like pencils and bobby pins, which I find everywhere anyway. They're usually on the floor, but that's a good spot for them. My wife usually uses the handles here for trash, which I guess in lieu of a trash bag, you can use that. It works out nicely. And this in the middle, lots of space here. Whoa, let's not look in there. And up here, of course, sunglasses or any other trash you want to put in there. This car is equipped with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which I found I really enjoy. My Mazda 6 does not have it, and I'm actually considering upgrading and putting it in because I like it so much. It's just real easy to use, it's real convenient, and I can leave my phone put away. Of course, if you've seen my other videos, you know I love paddle shifters, and that is one thing I love about this car is it does have paddle shifters, which not every car has, but this one does. I use them all the time. I don't like the paddle shifters on this car quite as much. It's 8 speeds, and sometimes you want to pass somebody, you got to drop down 2 or 3 gears to really take off. It's not quite as responsive. When you slow down, say you're going 55, 60 miles an hour and you're coming up on an on-ramp to get on the freeway, and you go to turn and get on the freeway, it stays in whatever gear you had it in. If you were in 6th, 7th gear, it doesn't automatically drop down to 2nd so that you can get onto the freeway. You've got to do that on your own. And so you're in 6th or 7th gear and you're boom, 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 boom. You're clicking down 5 gears to get to 2nd. Kind of annoying that it doesn't do that. I'm not sure why it doesn't. One thing about this Subaru Ascent is manual mode. I can put the car in manual mode and I can shift with the paddle shifters, but I cannot shift with the stick. So if I'm going around a corner and I need to downshift, I have to use the paddle shifters to do it. And that's a little difficult sometimes when your steering wheel's upside down or sideways. It's so easy just to shift with the stick. It's a little frustrating. Not a big deal, but it does slow you down. Makes it so you can't shift when you need to, or you have to throw it into drive and kick the gas pedal down. The engine on the Subaru Ascent is a 2.4 liter turbocharged boxer engine, and gas mileage, I haven't read it myself. The car itself says it's 20.6 average miles per gallon, but that's not lifetime. It keeps resetting itself, and I haven't looked up why. I think every time we fill up the tank, it resets itself, because I know at times it's up to 24 miles per gallon and then all of a sudden it's at 20. And at lifetime, it can't change that fast. So not sure what it actually is, but it's somewhere between 20 and 25, I would think. Now, of course, as every crossover should, all the back seats fold down flat, and I'll show you how that's done. Now, if you just want to get in the back, you've got this lever here. Pull it up, and the seat slides. Pretty easy, and there's lots of space to get in the back. Now, if you want to fold it down flat, you've got 1 and 2. 1, 2, push it down. That's easy. Again, on the other side, 1, 2, and down. Of course, to fold the very back down, we got to get into the back. Very nice. All right, and here, just pull this up, push it. Pull this up, push it, done. Now we actually got these all-weather mats. We upgraded for those just to protect the back seats so they don't get all banged up from putting things in. We thought about getting them for the front seats. We opted out of that, felt like it might not be necessary. You can see here, that comes really flat. And then here, this is just protective cover. I like this compartment. Got my ball in there. Got buttons back here on the tailgate. If you push this, it'll lock all the doors when it closes, or you can just close it. Now, the design on the headrest of the very back is not ideal. As you can see, if you sit on this, your back is up against the headrest. Not comfortable. So you have to put this up. And it's not the easiest for a kid to do. So you have to sit that way. And a lot of times my kids don't like these, so they just pull them out and they don't have a headrest at all. Something better could definitely have been done here. As you can see, we did not opt for a sunroof or the moonroof, which would be really nice, but we decided it wasn't worth the expense at the time. Leather seats though, that was one I debated back and forth for a long time. I love leather seats, I love them in my Mazda 6, but I understand if you park your car outside all day, you don't have a garage at your house, whatever, the seats are blistering hot, and in the winter it's super cold. If you have a garage, it's fantastic because your seats aren't going to be killing you when you jump in. And I drive around all day, so I'm not parked long enough for the seats to get really hot. So for me, they're fantastic. And for this car, it would have been really nice, but we opted for cloth. They're just hard. These seats are hard, and they're just not as comfortable as I know the leather seats would be. Now this rooftop rack we had installed, you can get the Thule as well, but it's more expensive and it holds more weight, but we don't put a lot of stuff on top of there. This is just for sleeping bags, suitcases, clothes, that kind of stuff. So it's not gonna be real heavy. So this actually works very well for what we need. So I've really enjoyed owning this car. Driving it is fun. It is more like a car than it is a crossover. It just feels like that when you're driving. It turns really well, takes corners well, accelerates quickly, even with 200 and something pounds on the back of the car. I do notice at freeway speeds, 80 miles an hour or so, the car feels like I'm tipped back because there's weight on the back of it. And if there's wind, I can really feel it with the box on the top and the bikes in the back. But as far as acceleration and power, it does awesome. So would I buy this car again if I had the choice of a CX-90? That is a really hard question to answer because I like the transmission of the CX-90 a lot better than the Subaru. It has a CVT, the Subaru does. There's a lot about the Mazdas, obviously, things I've explained before in other videos, that I really like over other cars. So if you take the built-in tow hitch out of the equation, Mazda CX-90, absolutely. I would probably trade this in right now for a Mazda CX-90 if the built-in tow hitch wasn't a thing. I would still choose this car over the Hyundai Palisade or the Kia Telluride. It's still a toss-up between this and the CX-90, but with the built-in bumper, that's hard for me to decide if that's worth it. I might be able to sacrifice the bumper to have the car that I really like. So all in all, this is a fantastic car. I've loved owning it. My family has loved it. It's definitely one I would recommend. Let me know if you have any questions about this car. We've had it long enough to be able to answer quite a few things. Thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time.